Good morning, sir. How you doing today?
Good morning, Kevin. Good to be on with you.
Senator, I got to ask you about this. A report out the president called military members who lost their lives losers and suckers. Your feeling about what's happened there?
Kevin, that report is based on anonymous sources. It's in a magazine owned by a woman who has given hundreds of thousands of dollars to Joe Biden and the Democratic Party. I've been around the president in many circumstances where he expresses his great admiration for our veterans, for our wounded warriors, particularly those who gave their life in the line of duty serving this country in uniform. And to the extent there is any documentary evidence claims, it all contradicts that liberal magazine's anonymously sourced report. So, for instance, that magazine claimed the president didn't want to go to a cemetery because his hair was going to get messed up, when in fact, we have the emails from the Navy and the Marine Corps that run the presidential helicopter squadron that says they couldn't fly given the weather. John Bolton, who has turned out to be no fan of the president he served, has repeatedly denied those allegations over the last few days, and as his book says, he was in the room where it happened. So I would give more weight to what I know about the president and what documents and firsthand testimony we have of people on the record like John Bolton or Sarah Huckabee, rather than anonymous sources in a liberal magazine owned by a partisan Democrat.
Senator Tom Cotton here on News Radio 102.9 KARN as Congress gets back together. What's the stimulus plan looking like there? I mean, what's happening with that situation? Is there one?
So, Kevin, if we're going to pass legislation, the Democrats are going to have to come off some of their unreasonable demands for essentially a blank check. I mean, just think about where we were 6 months ago, Kevin. We were at the very start of this pandemic when we knew very little about the virus and its impact on our health and its impact on our economy. We spent $3 trillion as a lifeline, as a survival package, not a stimulus package, to help our families and our businesses get through the most dangerous part of that pandemic when so little was known about the virus. Now, when we've had 4 straight months of record job creation, when more and more states are reopening their economies and getting students back to school, the Democrats want to spend another $3 trillion. We'd be much better off if we took that money, pared it down, and targeted it for those people who need it most. So, for instance, those workers who are in the travel and tourism and hospitality industry who are still very hard hit. Those folks who work in large venues, activities, whether it's sporting arenas or concert halls or what have you, who can't get back to work, as well as helping schools who need to safely reopen or stay open. I would like to see a more targeted and calibrated relief package for those who are still the hardest hit by this virus, but the Democrats are going to have to come off of their unreasonable demands for $3 trillion of spending from their wish list that has so little to do with the virus itself and its impact.
It's Kevin Miller talking with Senator Tom Cotton. Senator, there's a report on Fox News that talks about China configuring its military to kill Americans. You've got some news about China. What's happening there?
So this is the Pentagon's annual report on the growth of the Chinese military, and it's alarming. But it's also part of a continuous trend going back 30 years. China and other adversaries, but especially China as a rising power, saw the way we destroyed Saddam Hussein's army in 1991, which at the time, remember, was the 4th largest army in the world, and we decimated it in just 4 days. And they decided that they would never allow that to happen to China. So they have spent 30 years, and they've spent more money in recent years on weapon systems and missiles specifically designed to keep America away from the coast of China, away from protecting our interests and all the jobs that are created by our trade with Asia, from protecting our citizens and our troops and our allies in places like Korea and Japan and Taiwan and the Philippines. And it's very troubling to see these trends with China. Some news stories highlighted the fact that they are rapidly expanding their nuclear arsenal, which is worrisome, and why we should no longer have simply bilateral arms control treaties with Russia, but we should always include China in those treaties. But the real story is the growth of their Navy and their Air Force, and that growth is designed entirely to prevent the United States from defending our interests.
All right. Hey, it's Senator Tom Cotton. Good to have you on this morning. Thanks so much.
Good to be on.